Just wonderful.
Good.
Right. Well, I am going to do a reading first from the Science of Mind magazine. Thomas Troward said, "The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression, and this means the production of something beyond what has gone before, something entirely new, not included in the past experience, but proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence of growth." From the Science of Mind, creation and experience are eternally going on, but any particular experience is measured by time and has a beginning and an end. And I chose this hopefully to go along with Reverend David's talk today. And this is what the explanation says. New beginnings are a divine gift. The opportunity to wipe the slate clean and start anew. They typically come on the heels of change. Change that is sometimes gratefully welcomed, and other times begrudgingly accepted. And still other times experience kicking and screaming. The quality of a beginning is directly proportional to the quality of the ending that preceded it. Messy endings beget messy beginnings, beget yet more messy endings. Not to mention the often even messier middles. An important aspect of wholeness is being able to navigate the various cycles inherent in our life journey with grace and ease. We know that intention creates, and we must take the same care with setting intentions for endings as we do for beginnings. For example, we begin a relationship with the intention to love and to cherish, but is that intention still in place a few years later? And is it even remembered if the relationship ends? When an ending presents itself in any area of your life, how will you handle it? Closure has to happen before new beginnings can be attempted. Contemplation intentions that include strategies for spiritual growth and evolution serve us best because they express wholeness. For example, if we intend to leave an experience gracefully, we may want to include gratitude for the gift that experience offered. There's always a gift. Forgiveness for others and for ourselves, and prayer for guidance as we move forward. Take a breath and close your eyes. And as we go into the stillness of our hearts and our minds, I'd like to use this affirmation. I bless the beginnings and endings in my life and welcome the growth they offer. Everything is in divine, right order. Breathe. Feel the essence of divine order fill every cell in your body. And take another deep breath, and on your exhalation, just go, releasing that which no longer serves your life journey. Knowing that everything, and I mean everything, has a reason, a purpose. It is truly for your highest and best. So let's let go of any judgments that we might have on anything that's happening in our own lives or in the lives around us, and know that there's a reason for it. And let's awe with that as well. Let it go. And say to yourself, I am in divine order. I am in divine order. I am in divine order. And with that inner knowing, we draw our attention inward by focusing on that space in the middle of our foreheads. That space that's been called the eye that cannot see in the outer but can see so clearly on the inner subjective planes of who we are. And let us breathe into our third eye, allowing it to clear and cleanse, balance, and harmonize. And we see that little light that shines within it, growing larger and larger within our mind's eye, until it envelops the entire part of our image-making ability. That part of our imagination that allows us to co-create through intention that which we would experience as our reality. Breathe. And as we realize that, in the middle of that light, we begin to see a small speck of color. And I want you to be your own divine co-creator with the energy of the divine, and take that small bit of color and begin to paint a beautiful scene of that which you would now have as your reality. The thoughts, the feelings, the situations. Use it to create, co-create, manifest. And know that whatever you create, you give the intention that it's for the best and highest good of all concerned. But you also know that you are the master of your universe. So go into the silence and begin to create that which you would be. Now feel the essence of what this is, the love behind it. And give it a symbol. And pull that symbol back into your mind's eye, allowing it to continue to magnetize and percolate. And every day, allow yourself to go back into the sacred space and experience it and allow it to grow and manifest so that you truly become your dream, your highest potential. And we fill our hearts with gratitude that we live in a time and a place that is so conducive to being who we are. And a final breath, and we pull that energy back into our hearts and our minds. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. And put your hands together, palm to palm, in front of your heart as we raise that sign of devotion from our heart to our third eye and back down again as we connect heart with mind and we release them to our laps. Open palm, which means we are ready to receive and to give. And let us all say together the Hindu word for peace. Shanti, 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 may peace prevail on earth. And so it is.
This morning I wanted to bring something that had the word action. This is a time that I think the universe is telling us to wake up, get involved, and become co-creative. And especially we who've made it to this level of consciousness that we term new thought or metaphysical, to come to understand that we share in the glory of our Creator, that we share in the responsibility of the Creator, that we share in this process of called creation itself. And therefore we must learn how to flow with Spirit and to receive new spiritual ideas and visions that maybe have never been before. I wanted to say we had a wonderful workshop here yesterday. It was such a great day, such a great day. And I'm so proud of this Sunday morning Bible class we're doing over there. We had 20 people this morning, and it's showing a real interest. We were sharing in the Kabbalah where it says that the Bible is a coded book. So when you throw out the Bible, you're throwing out the codes. Right. And these codes are what's going to bridge and help us to move into the new norms of the higher dimension that is breaking through this third dimension. So at the same time, we've dipped back into the indigenous for the last few decades, the Native American, the Aborigines, and others, and into the wonderful teachings that Rebecca does and Susan does in the wisdom teachings, and all of that is a wonderful way to make sure that these are not lost and forgotten, but they're brought into the present time to empower us. Empower us to do what? To move forward in what the scripture says, eye hath not seen nor ear heard the things that are prepared. And I think there's new ideas on its way. Oh, yeah. And we need to make those ideas become manifest to us. The more that I live, the less impressed I am by ideas, that nothing happens. Regardless of how good the idea might be, I've come to realize that good ideas in and of themselves are pretty much worthless. Everywhere I go, people have, one of the greatest ideas that I hear people have is they want a healing center. That's a great idea, but try to put one together. Try to manifest it and find all of the processes that you have to go through to put something together in which people can come on a collective level as a community together is a real responsibility. And I don't see a lot of those ideas becoming anything with people because of the lack of commitment to the process of making it happen. We've moved away from an old paradigm that there is a God separate from us out there that we can pray to and it'll just drop down miraculously and magically into our lives. But this is the time of participation. It says we're heirs together in the grace of life, that we're joint heirs with the Christ. Joint heirs, that means equal heirs. So we need to become people of divine ideas that is going to move us forward in our spiritual evolution and our empowerment of helping to co-create a new destiny, a new direction for humanity itself. Ideas, what we should be doing in life, and also our ideas not only for others but for ourselves. Everything begins with you. We want to project and say if we can have an idea to help other people, and then we get left behind. And I find this in the healing community. There's the wounded healer archetype. And most of us are wounded and need healing that are healing. Not that we do the healing, but you know what I'm saying, the terminology. We who are facilitating this spiritual healing that is going on somehow have been so busy helping other people that we've gotten left behind ourselves because we didn't start with ourselves. There's a line in the Course in Miracles that says the healing of my mind is the healing of my brother's mind. Yep. Healing begins with the practitioner, not with the client. Right. Yep. And we've done that. We've tried to fix them so we'd feel good about ourselves. Look at me. Right. I'm gifted. I got a talent. I got a certificate behind me that says that I'm certified in this category or this technique or something like that. And then we forget to heal ourselves. Yep. So this time, let's get it right. And let's realize what are the ideas that we need for ourselves, to empower ourselves, so that we can turn those ideas into a personal empowerment that we can move forward in. Not a way of projecting on others what we need to do for ourselves. And that's the ego system. The ego system is always to project on something else and say, that's the cause. It has nothing to do with you. It's because of them. And it works the other way. If I can change them, maybe then I get changed too. That doesn't always work. You can't just get into the collective and kind of move your way in because everybody else is going in. You kind of get swept in too. Everybody's healing, salvation, whatever you want to call it, begins with ourselves.
Yes.
So, I'm sure you've had ideas about how things want to be in the sense of how you desire life to be for you. Maybe it's to idea how to manage money better. We all get a certain amount of money, may not be a lot for some, more for others. But how do we manage the money is what makes the difference. I've seen people have very small amounts of money who do wonderful things with it.
Yep.
I've seen people with a lot of money to lose it practically overnight because they have no guidance, no idea how to manage money. So as power comes to us in different forms, and gifts and talents come to us, we need to have a spiritual idea on how we want to invest that for the higher good of ourselves and for the collective as others. Managing our health. That's a huge one. That's probably number one with a lot of us who are reaching this time in life, our health issues. How do we manage this power and spirit of wholeness that we talk about? We say here that we are created whole and magnificent, children of the universe. How do you want to manage that statement? Do you get an idea how to manifest it into your life where you live right now, today? There is a divine idea in how to do that for you.
Yeah.
And for you that are practitioners, how to do it for others that come to you, to help to bring forth this word health is an idea. Prosperity is an idea.
Yeah.
It's an idea. People go around teaching workshops based upon the idea of prosperity, and people go and they think if they hear what the person is teaching, that they'll have prosperity because they went to the class. They paid for it. They got the book. They bought the DVDs, and now I'm going to be prosperous. It's just going to drop down out of nowhere. No, this is where we need to get the idea, how does this work for me?
Yeah.
The workshop we had yesterday, I would say to them that attended that, have the idea, how do I put to practice what I learned in this workshop? How can I bring sound and vibration into my life every day? How can I use it in a way that's going to benefit me, to keep me in tune and in alignment with my soul purpose? Or we just go to a workshop, we learn something, we have a good time, and we forget it.
No.
But it has to become an idea. To manage your relationships. Relationships is an idea. Everything is an idea. Everything starts as a seed, an idea. You know, if you plant a seed, say a seed for a certain crop of some kind, say you want to grow corn, and you seed. Now you can say that the corn is there even though you can't see the corn. Everything that the corn is going to become is in the seed, right? So everything is in your idea. But what I have to do with the seed, I have to plant it first in good ground.
Yeah.
Good ground means metaphysically good consciousness. You have to put it into a consciousness that will bring it forth. Then you have to bring everything that it needs to dissolve the outer shell. It's not the seed that comes up, it's the fruit or the DNA of the seed that comes forward. It says unless a seed dies, it shall not bring forth. The seed represents the outer persona, the ego, the personality. That has to dissolve away. In other words, as the Buddha said, you have to detach from the outcome because the outcome is sure and already purposed within the fruit of the seed. So what does it take for the seed? First, you got to soften the seed. You got to draw the water to it out of the ground. You got to water your seed. You that plant flowers and whatever. You can't make the flower come up, but you can facilitate keeping the environment right for the seed to come up.
Yep.
Then the thing we don't like is we've got to draw in the fertilizer. And all of these things that we draw in from the earth softens the seed until it gives away. And as it gives away, the fruit begins to come forth and do what it is there to do. And that's to bring itself forth into a manifestation. That's an idea. An idea in your mind is like that seed, but the seed won't come up. The seed has to be dissolved. So, life brings you what it needs. Brings you the water of the Word. Brings you the fertilizer, sometimes, when life is tough. But it softens you. Are you finding at the place that so many of us in this room are in, that life is softening you continuously? You're becoming more compassionate.
Yep. Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
More loving, more understanding, more patient with yourself and other people. This is the softening of the outer seed of personality, of ego, that is ready to give away to the innate intelligence that is buried within the grounds of your heart, to bring forth after its own kind. See, it's not going to bring forth another kind. People are shocked sometimes. I'm on a plane or something. Somebody says, "Are you a Christian?" I say, "No." "But you just said you're a minister." "I am a minister, but I'm not a Christian." And they just don't understand that at all. That is just totally beyond their understanding, or they get very upset about it, that I'm blasphemous. But I said, God's not a Christian. Jesus wasn't a Christian.
Right. That's right.
They never even heard the word Christian. So I thought I was in pretty good company. And they go, "Oh, okay." I have to think about that as they're ready to go to sleep, and whatever. But I'm saying, the Christ said, "I'm a seed that falleth into good ground and brings forth after its kind." That means Christ brings forth Christ. The divine brings forth the divine. The sacred brings forth the sacred. The Spirit brings forth of itself. And yet so many of our fundamentalist Orthodox Christian brothers and sisters see that as blasphemous for us to declare our own divinity, our own sacredness. It is not. It's exactly what it's all about. To come to our spiritual identity in some way that is there. Ideas not brought forth to fruition only breeds more ideas.
That's true. That's yours.
I know, that's mine. I said that somewhere, I don't remember. I like it. Ideas not brought forth to fruition. So people have ideas, get really good at ideas. The more ideas you have, the more ideas you can get, because ideas breed more ideas. And that's why we really need to look to workshops in a different way. Workshops are opportunities for us to come together and do the inner work of making these wonderful truths that are being given to us in New Thought, and how to turn them into ideas, and ideas into action. Somebody had an idea, or this would not be here.
Right.
This building would not be here. I remember when it first, here, as I told you, I was one of the first speakers here in this building in, I think, 1994 or something like that. It was a long time ago. I spoke on the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic right here in this room. This is all brand new, but somebody had an idea. Now somebody's got maybe a different idea. We got different ideas going on right now. We're meeting, we're talking, Rebecca and I, and we're getting some new ideas that are coming in, and we keep honing those ideas. We get together once a week or so, and we have ideas, and then the next week the ideas kind of change a little bit. We get a little clearer about the ideas, and we're doing our best to create an environment, a good ground for these ideas to be not just planted and talked about, so we can get more ideas, but ideas that will become manifested.
Yeah.
All of you have ideas, I know, great ideas. I love talking to people, listening to people talk together when we get together, like afterwards when we go over to have the food and whatever, and people are just talking. People have great ideas. People are rich in ideas, but there's such a need for those ideas to be spiritually brought together in some way. So I wanted to use this idea that I have of the ideas to practice such things as visualization. Visualization is a very powerful. Use your resources. Now, this is the richness of a good community of people. If you're in a good community of people, there's a lot of things that are represented. And there's things that you do not have the ability or the talent for that somebody else does. Now, this is how I see a community. I see a community saying, somebody comes in and says, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I think I have an idea to do this, and I think it would be a great service to humanity, but really I need a place to do it. And somebody says, well, you know what, I just had a building that the tenant just moved out, and I've got a place, maybe you need to look at that. Wouldn't that be great if a community could come together and each one with their strengths and with their different talents could come together and enrich each other toward manifesting their dreams and their aspirations. How rich. When we do that, we can't do that by just coming Sunday morning, having a service. We got to do it by communication, community, communion. We don't do that. I'll give an example. We, this last week on Wednesday, spent about 10 hours doing a professional DVD in our Phase 3 DNA workshop at my home. And we hired our dear Anna, that works here at the church and does a great job, to come and to be a part of that. We need somebody to be on the table, and she did a wonderful job. But I knew more about Anna at the end of the day. I didn't even know Anna. But spending the day with her and visiting with her was the first time that I really felt I knew this person. There's many of you that I really don't know who you are, because maybe I only see you once in a while here. But that's what community is, communion with each other. I think that's very important. So I really don't know what talent you have, where your strengths are, and how that I might draw from you and you from me to enrich my life in this community. So maybe we need to consider the idea of being more of a spiritual community, and not just a place where people gather, a bunch of bodies gather. I think that's going to be very important, that we need to do that. And we did some things over at Unity of Charlotte a few years ago. Tim did some great stuff on community and helping us to really get down to know each other on a different way. And it was amazing. It was amazing, the experience that people had and walked away saying, I didn't even know if I liked you. Now I absolutely love you, because you get through the facade, you get through the personality that you think you see, the appearance of the person. You may not like the way somebody wears their hair, or the way they dress, or maybe they're a little loud, or they're a little something, whatever. And then you get to really know them beyond that, and you go, what a rich person. I really want to invest my life and energy in the friendship of this person. Maybe you want to go beyond that. Maybe you're looking for a partner in life, and you don't even know the partner is closer than you think, because you don't know that that's your partner. Who knows? But I know we can be enriched by partaking of each other. We are the bread, the substance that we partake of. We are the wine that we drink of each other's cup. That is truly real communion. Visualization is not fantasy. Visualization is bringing into our imagination those things that are doing themselves to bundle themselves into several thoughts called an idea. It's not fantasizing something that is not there. It's bringing forth that which is in our potential, that is beginning to bundle itself through many different thoughts into an idea. An epiphany. How many of you have ever had an epiphany where something just exploded within your mind and you were so clear about it? Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? The other times, most of the time we spend ourselves, as the scripture says, that we're like the blind in the daytime groping for the wall. And I think we do that. We're just trying this and see if that works, and I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what's next, and we do a lot of that kind of story in our head to ourselves and to each other. I do believe in clarity. I do believe in the direction of the divine mind in the form of spiritual ideas that can give us a total clear path to what it is that is the evolution of our spiritual life toward us. There's a scripture I'd like to give you. I'm going to give you one scripture today for you that don't want that. It's well, first I want to give you David Bohm. So I'm going to give you physics, quantum physics. David Bohm is a protege of Einstein, who says, in the implicate order as in the brain itself, imagination and reality are ultimately undistinguishable, and should therefore come as no surprise to us that images in the mind can ultimately manifest as our realities. So it says there is no difference between imagination that comes into the mind and the reality of it. You may not see it, the five senses, but it does not exist. I often do that with people with tuning forks. Teaching tuning forks is people be working with tuning forks, and the brain says, I can't hear it, therefore it does not exist. So I have to train them to go, oh, it's still going. Because if they don't, they'll just be hitting it all the time, keeping the sound of it so the brain can say it exists. This dog has better ears than we do. It hears way beyond our vicinity of Jack there. And therefore, because we can't hear it, see it, feel it, any of the five senses, doesn't mean it does not exist. That's where faith comes in. There's the power of faith for you that are in unity. The first power of faith is in there. So, Psalms 19, verse 105 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Now that comes from an interesting story I'd like to just share with you real shortly. In the ancient days, it was too hot to travel during the day, so travel was done at night. Makes sense? Carrying heavy loads and traveling through rocky terrain, lamps were put on the feet, offering enough light for safe passage. We know where we want to end up, but we cannot always see the entire path. Just go as far as you can see, and more will be illuminated. So I may not know the ultimate goal of my life right now, but in the circumstance I'm in, I can get enough light to see the next step. And when I get to that step, that light will shine to the next step. And I think that's a very important thing for us, not to think too far down the road that is beyond our capacity, but think within the range of where we are and what's possible right now, and the potential and possibility of bringing it there. So really, every day we should take time for ourselves on a spiritual level in meditation, contemplation, reading, just getting still. And sometimes to do that, it takes saying no to people who pull on us, family that want our attention all the time, children that want our attention all the time. There's just a time. Of course, the miracle says, just take 5 minutes of action toward your goal. Just 5 minutes would make a difference. So find it in your life somewhere to make sure that you find a little time to let divine idea come in. In closing this morning, I want to give you something from Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, that says that each and every one of us is a divine idea in the mind of God. Now that's powerful. I wasn't taught that in the religion and church that I was. In fact, I was told, stay away from those who teach God is mind, period. That was Eastern. And I would say to him, where do you think Jesus came from? Independence, Kansas? He was Eastern. Everything he did was Eastern. Everybody in your Bible is Eastern. And they go, really? I thought they were Americans. The English version of King James Bible. Wow. Crazy, isn't it? He says, I contemplate the meaning of this quote. Divine mind is the mind and the idea of God. Any conception existing in the mind is a result of mental understanding, awareness, and activity. How does this affect your life to know that you are a divine idea in the mind of God? Well, if I start with this premise, then all else follows. What a great starting point, a premise to come from. This should be your mantra many times a day. I am the divine idea in God's mind, and that idea has never been changed. For ideas never leave their source. Course in Miracles says. Ideas never leave their source. Now, I'm going to give this illustration. Some of you have heard it 1,000 times. But if I said to my dear Connie here, I had a great idea, and I went out and sold this idea to a corporation for $1 million. They loved my idea because I'm sure they saw probably 10 million or more out of it. Right. So they gave me $1 million for it. So I love my friend here, Connie, and I want her to be blessed. So I take the idea that I had in my mind and extend it to her mind, because I want her to go out there and maybe go somewhere else in another city and see if she can sell this also. Mm-hmm. But let's say that Connie gets a little greedy about that and says that David can do this and come up with $1 million. I bet I could come up with a better idea and get $5 million out of it. Mm-hmm. So she takes my idea in her mind and changes it to be a different idea. And she goes out and can't sell the idea at all. It's lost in her mind, but not in my mind. I'm the one who thought it. And even though I shared it, the idea has not been changed in my mind. This is why God only sees you perfect and whole. This is the answer, and this makes me the most wary of anything I've ever dealt with in 50 years of ministry, is people blaming God. Blaming God. I've prayed, God has not done a thing for me. God's not answered prayer. Where's God? Why would God do this to me? If I've heard that once, I've heard it thousands and thousands of times, that everybody's blaming God. I'm not sure God really knows everything that you're going through in this human experience. The Course says it doesn't. It says what it knows is when you're not happy. It knows when you're not happy. But I don't think it gets down to the things that we kind of miscreate for ourselves. I think that's why the divine is in each and every one of us, because it's not the divine out there that's going to take care of it. It's the part of the divine in you that's going to take care of it. And that's why you want to go in through meditation for wisdom and spiritual direction and ideas about what can I do about this situation. That's what prayer should be. Prayer should be self-empowerment. Empowering myself, aligning myself, allowing myself as a vessel to receive guidance from the higher, and then you become active of that idea to manifest it into your life. I tried for so many years to believe in a God out there that if I just prayed would answer me magically. And a lot of people don't get past that point when they find out that doesn't work that way. People go off into some kind of a false idea of it and make excuses for it, or people get so discouraged that they just close down to the whole idea to anything out there that is going to help them. When all along, that which we look to out there was in us. Yeah. All along. So find the divine in you. And I'm going to close this morning with really something from the Daily Word. So we had Science of Mind. Now we're going to have for Unity, because I know people from both here today. It's called Divine Idea. All creation comes from the divine mind as divine ideas. I consciously connect with the mind of God to create in my own life. The divine ideas that flow through me spur wonderful experiences and blessings. Once I conceive an idea and imagine its fulfillment, I act in cooperation with all-powerful, all-loving, all-wise Spirit of God within me to bring the idea to fruition. Creation is a divine process that is always at work. I stay aware, open, receptive to divine ideas that arise in my mind. I focus on what is good, loving, and healthy, and in cooperation with the indwelling Spirit. I bring forth wonderful blessings for myself, my loved ones, and the world. You can have an idea. A man had an idea one time. Maybe he was looking at his wife, trying to sew by the fire. The kids were trying to study, ruining their eyes. And this man said, there's got to be a better way to do this. And he got an idea for the light bulb. Somebody got an idea about how we could talk across boundaries, nations, cities. He got an idea for the telephone. On and on. Everything that you've used today, every machine, the car you drive, all started as an idea that became manifested. And then you know what? People took that idea and they evolved it. They evolved it. The car you're driving is not the idea that Henry Ford had of a horseless carriage going 12 miles an hour. But now our cars are, oh my God, they're taking over. They're telling us all the time to recalculate it. The next turn. So, what about you? I feel blessed. I feel humble that I had an idea 18 years ago that became Soma Energetics, an international world business of sound and healing through tuning forks. That is translated in not only English, but in Spanish, French, Chinese, and Japanese. But it started out as an idea that I had on how can I help people to heal who's not healing because they don't have energy beyond survival. That was my idea. How do I bring energy into the energy body that is beyond the survival level? And that idea became known as Soma Energetics today. And trust me, you can get an idea too. You that are on jobs that you dread, Monday morning's coming. Oh my God, you got to go to that job that you don't care for. Get an idea. Become an entrepreneur. Get an idea for a different way that you can make your money that is in alignment with your sole purpose to be here. There's nothing better than to know that you're doing what you came here to do and making a living at it. Again, I've been blessed for 52 years. I've never had a corporate job. I've never been on a job whatsoever. I've just been about my Father's business. I've just been about my Father's business. I live by faith. I've never worried too much about where it's all going to come from. I didn't have a salary for many, many years. I just went around and people gave offerings and and it was wonderful. I did well. I wouldn't get rich doing it, but my needs were met and oftentimes my desires were met. But I was so young that I had this idea that if God called me to do this, He's going to take care of me. And I never thought any different. And I still don't believe any different today. I don't even let that enter my mind of lack. He'll come one way or another, and it can for you too. Let us just take a moment. We thank you, Divine Holy Spirit, the inner teacher that guides us and leads us into all of our truth that we need today. To leave this building empowered, inspired, ready for action. Maybe we will not take action as others do to go out and to hold signs and to be an activist in that way, which is needed and desired, but we are active in consciousness, in changing and raising consciousness, working in the collective unconsciousness of our planet. We can make a difference. Today we start with ourselves. Today, that you that need a physical healing, take in the seed and the idea of health. Let it be planted into good soil, good consciousness today. You that are in a situation financially and you want to see more prosperity into your life for the reason that you'll be free from the need of finance. That's why you need finance, to be free from the need of it, so that you can do what Spirit tells you to do. Plant the seed of prosperity. Let it fall into good ground this morning. If you're lonely and you'd like to bring someone into your life to share, not just a soulmate, but a twin flame. Somebody to not work on each other, but someone to work together for the planet. Take that idea right now. If you already have a companion that you're not walking with so much in that area, it can change. Don't see it as fixed. Bring in the idea that it can change. And we can walk together not only in body, but in mind and in spirit. If you are looking for something new to do in your work, in your calling, and you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to find the right place to even work, not for, but with a corporation, a business, or a person, let that seed fall into good ground. And it says, and we shall plant we shall water, and God shall give the increase. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.